Well, I'm in here in the van doing a bit of work today while it's raining outside. And I noticed on the floor here, I think I was assuming that the inside was mostly rust-free just because the floor was all nice and painted white. But I think there was a lot of that roof coating that they put down. So now I'm noticing a lot more rust. Well, down around the bottom of the van here, there's all this rust bleeding through. I think, not sure what they put on here. I think it might be just some of this, I think this is like a roof coating stuff. And so I'm just taking this wire wheel that I got from Harbor Freight and taking it down to bare metal again. And I'm gonna put some rust treatment on here. I've noticed, like, okay, so there's a spot here where you can see kind of rust bleeding back through. And that's probably just from some light surface rust that was not properly ground down before it was painted over, and it's just bleeding back through the surface. Realistically, I could probably just leave it, but not willing to do that because I'm going to put quite a bit of time into this build. I got to this wheel well, realized, yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that's going to need to be sealed up there. Unfortunately, it's going to be underneath this rattle trap. Alright, I just finished up with one wheel well. That took a long time, but got all that rattle trap off there. Still have a whole nother one to go here. Alright, my battery is just about to die on my phone, but right now I am working on extracting this bad pin. You can see that it's the one right there that's really corroded. And these are these funky Mercedes wiring connectors, which I was getting annoyed with. So I realized these come apart pretty easy, actually much easier than other ones that I've worked on. So this black clamp piece, you just put a screwdriver in there and it pops off that side, so I've already got this one off. Next you go around to this side, you've just got this little clip right here, you push this way, and this just slides out. So I literally just pulled back on this corner right here, and this popped out. It slides out like this. There we go. So there's my pin popping out right there. So all I did, I took the connector here, pressed down on the little silver tab right there by my thumbnail, and then pull out on the wire. It pops out, and then you can stick a tool in there, and bam, look, you got it. There it is. The pin is out. And it's all back together. It's very simple. I was expecting that to be more difficult. I'm actually a big fan of these Mercedes connectors. Alright, so I'm probably jumping the gun here, but I have been trying to find a stereo for the Sprinter. I'm stoked with the stereo that I have in my Prius. It's a Sony stereo double din, and I am kind of in love with the Android Auto, using Google Maps for navigation, running Spotify straight through the stereo, running podcasts through the stereo. So I really wanted that again in the Sprinter. Unfortunately, it's tough with the single DIN configuration of the T1N Sprinters. The only way to get around the single DIN opening is by literally making your own dash, and not really interested in getting into fiberglass work for a dash. What I found is that Sony makes a single DIN stereo that breaks out to like an 8-inch screen. Unfortunately, it's a pretty new stereo, and so it is very expensive. It's like $500 to $600 new. Not really in my budget, unfortunately. But what I found is I found a broken one for $100 on eBay, so I ordered it. This beautiful baby came in here today. This is the Sony XAV AX8000. First off, it has a torn ribbon cable there, as you can see. And secondly, has a crack in the screen here on the corner. I'm hoping that the crack is kind of like a cell phone screen, and maybe this will still be functional even with the crack in it. We'll see. And then I'm hoping to be able to repair this ribbon cable. I'm gonna pull it off now and see what we can do with it. Okay, well, I just kind of pulled on it a little harder and it came out. I think there's a clip on there that I should have used that I did not. Next time. Alright, so now we can just bring this out of here. Looks like we've got several spots where this is damaged. Okay, and so here we have the back of that. Well, looks like we've got several spots on this that are quite damaged. We got this one right here, and we got this one up here, unfortunately. So we'll dive into this and see if these are repairable. I am doing some very small work here. I am trying to stagger these joints. So what I'm going to try to do now is flow some solder onto each of these and then test with a couple of these and see if it's even possible to repair these. I'm hoping that maybe it'll work. I don't think this ribbon cable is too expensive. I think I can just buy it pretty easily, but it'll be fun to try to repair it first. Alright, well, change of plans. I tried to solder a little bit there, and it just, like, I can tell it's just gonna melt the plastic coating really quickly. I don't have a fine enough point on my soldering iron. You can just see how blunt that looks up next to, like, the size that we need to do. So, I mean, I could try ordering a smaller soldering iron and then trying it again, but this cable costs $2. So I'm just gonna order a new cable. But in the meantime, I wanna see if we can test out this screen and see what happens with it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this right here, turn this over, sand this away, and see if we can get this to insert into the plug so we can get this powered up and see if our screen is going to be usable or if I need to order a new screen. Alright, that's cut off there. I'm going to basically try to get the cut end to look like this. I might need to use some of this plastic, but I think because this is rigid right here, because this was like glued down to the back of the screen, that I'll probably just be able to kind of scrape this away. So I'm going to try it and see what happens. Alright, I'm working on getting this whittled down here. Honestly, it's a bit of a challenge. It's kind of frustrating. Been using some sandpaper. Been using a little razor knife. See what happens. Alright, I've got just a display of sketchiness here. I've got this cable just barely going into the plug there. And then I have wires hooked up here very sketchily, and then I have a little sketchy 12-volt charger here. So let's see what happens, if anything, when we hook these up. So I'm going to hook this up to ground, and then I'm going to hook this up to positive. At the same time, I'm just going to film this screen. Nothing so far, huh? Ooh, there we go. What's that? We got those lights on.
but no screen, it looks like. We do have some sort of power. Okay, well, I'm gonna troubleshoot this cable a little bit. All right, well, I made myself a new end here. I'm much happier with that. We're gonna give it another try. I am remembering that I don't think little 12-volt battery chargers are good for running stereos. Okay, I've made this monster board out here, and I have changed two things. One, I switched the wiring. I think the switched wire is actually on the bottom here, not on the top, so I moved that. Secondly, I'm trying this on an actual vehicle battery rather than off of a charger. So let's see if anything happens here. There is lights, and it's the exact same thing as before. Bummer. All right, next day here, and was just doing a little more troubleshooting. The top two pins on the far side here are the power pins, one being the switched and one being the unswitched power, and then the bottom one on that side is the ground. But we are only getting these lights on here, and I'm not sure why. I can guess, there's definitely a possibility that whatever caused this crack in the screen also has damaged the screen to the point where it doesn't work. All right, so I just got done testing the continuity of all 60 of these, and they all check good except for this one on the very end here. And it actually checks good about halfway back to this blue tape, but then there's a break in it in the middle. So what I actually did here is I took a strand of this copper wire, just like a little strand there, and you can kind of see it. I ran it right there, and I'm gonna try to add some solder in there and see if I can get that to stay in place in there. So it took me a few tries, but I finally got something in there that has continuity. I taped that guy, or soldered that guy on there, so now those two ends are continuous. Gonna give it one more try on here and see if anything happens. Well, unfortunately, that pin that I soldered on there was too fat, would not fit in there, ended up breaking off. I did plug this end into the head unit, and then I hooked my multimeter up to the far lead that would correspond to this one when it's in its rightful position. I was wanting to check and see if this is a power or a ground, just because that would give even more reason to give this another try. And it appears to be a ground with one lead connected to here and one to the 12 volt. I did get 12 volts showing up on the meter here. So I think I'm gonna give this one more try. Getting pretty tired of scraping this stupid thing. It honestly takes a long time, but I think it would be worth it to give it one more try here and see if I can get it. Well, I tried this 4 more times, and it takes a long time to whittle that down every time to get those pins exposed, and I finally gave up because this is getting a bit too short to even try and use. So I'm just going to order the new cable. The new ribbon cable I think costs $2, so I'm going to get it ordered and hopefully get that on the way.